1, play. To improvise, imagine, romp, frolic, kick up one's heels, let down one's hair, revel, dally, cavort, frisk, clown, carouse, let loose, make merry. 2, play. The space in or through which a mechanism can or does move, as in the steering rack was loose and there was a little play. I have an 18-year-old son who outgrew me when he was about 10 years old. Big whoop, right? Even though I'm not that tall. But ever since then, it's been my practice to occasionally just tackle him to the ground, as one does. He's about 9 inches taller than me now, but you know what? I can take him. It's all up here, yeah? Then he tries to chase me down to get even, and we always end up laughing really, really hard. I think my husband is not sure what to make of these antics. I think it could be cultural. All those blue-collar American moms I grew up around were definitely rougher, wilder and more prone to belly laughing than the moms in his family in Colombia are. One day, as I tackled my son, our dog, reading those interspecies playfulness signals, also jumped in, and she scratched me with her big furry paws. When the scratch healed, I held up my hand and was amazed to see that it looked exactly like my mother's hand, even more than before. I called her up to verify. Yep, I had acquired the exact same L-shaped scar on the corner of the right wrist that she has, also from wrestling with a dog. In this case, the one from my childhood. It's as though there were a genetic blueprint at work for this. For so many of us, though, in spite of being genetically wired for it, play gets harder as we get older. Play is spontaneous and it appears purposeless. In contrast, our lives tend to be pretty scheduled, and there's still that old Puritan ethic at work that tells us we need to be productive. Idle hands are the devil's plaything, right? Can't let our bodies and minds be playful. And then obstacles to playfulness can pile up in us as we get older. Shoulds and shame, obligations, alienation, sadness. This week, our congregation suffered a sudden and sad loss with the death of Rod Groves. This is a big place. Most of you did not know him personally, but many did, and everybody here has been touched by his life because he's been a leader and a volunteer here with his wife, Judy, for the last 20 years, more. It's thanks in part to Rod's leadership that we have the physical church we do, as well as some of the programs. His help during a time of conflict many years ago was important to Christine Robinson's long tenure as a senior minister before me. And some of you will remember him telling that story during one of her goodbye sermons last summer. Rod was 80 years old, but he was strong and vibrant. So with his death, there's a sense that it was too soon. We didn't see it coming. So I was mindful as I prepared for this Sunday's theme that some are here with heavy hearts feeling this loss, and I too have been sad this week. But you know, Rod was playful. I remember him dressing up as a fortune teller one Sunday, setting up a booth outside to answer questions about some leadership thing he was doing in the church. It might have been the building of this sanctuary. Rod joked around a lot, and he had a mischievous twinkle in his eye. It was one of his endearing qualities. If his memorial service is like others I've seen, we will remember this together. And some funny stories about his playful nature will be told, and we'll end up laughing and crying at the same time. I've noticed that even when life is heavy, there's often a little play in the second sense of the word, a little space around that heaviness where the soul comes up for air. Even when we are constrained by depression, anger, or grief, sometimes we discover, even to our surprise, that there's a bit of play in there, a little bit of room around or within those experiences for playfulness or laughter. If I don't laugh, I'll cry, we say sometimes, right? At almost every memorial service I've ever led, there's been both laughter and tears. Even after the most tragic losses, I've seen bereaved families honor their loved ones by telling the silly stories as well as the serious ones, bringing the room to laughter. It isn't the lose yourself in it creative kind of play we experience at other times. That is surely too much to expect when sadness is at work. Sadness is underway, at least for adults. But it is right and healthy to give ourselves permission to feel all of our feelings, even when they seem a little contradictory, or even when we go from one, like playful humor, right to another, like sadness, in the same movement. And it's also okay to experience times in life when we do not feel like playing or playful. We can give ourselves the grace for that for a while. But then when we're ready, we can help draw the playful side of ourselves back out by paying attention, noticing what simple things bring some pleasure or joy in the course of a day, inviting our minds to linger on a memory of playfulness and joy, and noticing where those feelings live in our bodies and remembering them with our bodies, really indulging in the memory. We can try out a bit of playfulness and see how it feels, see if we get drawn in. If you need some ideas for how to be playful, see what your fellow UUs wrote on the front steps this morning. There could be some more writing in between the services, and I invite you to add your thoughts out there with chalk. If you're listening to the sermon online or in the branches, you can look for the photos that we'll post of that writing on the church Facebook page.